All right, so I've had the Vision Pro now since Monday, so about 48 hours. I haven't had a lot of time to sit down and just use it for a very extended session, but I used it for about 3 hours today and 3 hours yesterday. Now, if you watched this live stream, then you saw me debating whether or not to get one. The reason I wanted one is I wanted more productivity, and I thought it would be very cool to, one, get into an immersive environment, and number two, it's like Minority Report. You can just have screens floating everywhere. And I justified it to myself like this. Number one, it's a business expense. I'm reviewing it right now. That's a tax write-off. I have not used it for entertainment once, and I'm going to make sure I have no fun using this device. Number two, the same is true for my MacBook. And I realize I forgot to put it on my expenses last year. So that means I've got a tax credit coming back for the MacBook. And I figured this thing's basically free, you know? It would be stupid not to get it. The shocking thing is if you subtract that money, how much I still had to pay for it, I don't even want to say. I'll tell you after. So, is it good? Do you want to know, Daniel?
Yes.
Number one, a lot of the reviews, oh no, it's low battery. A lot of the reviews were downplaying, here's what Apple showed you, here's the reality. They were trying to temper expectations. One of the obvious ones is that if you look at any of the Vision Pro advertisements, they show the eyes in the front and they look great. With these, it's super foggy. You can barely see them. And if you can make them out, they're just kind of creepy. That's the one obvious one. But from the inside, when you're looking out, they'll point out that it doesn't look quite like reality. They'll say it's very, very close. But from the reviews I watched, it made it sound like it was 95% of the way there. Honestly, my immediate reaction putting it on, I would say it's more like 75% of the way there. No part of you is tricked into thinking you're seeing reality. One of the most obvious things is you don't have a complete field of view. You actually see a black border the entire time, like you're wearing goggles. There is no peripheral vision. There's a certain fuzziness to everything. People will say, oh, you can read text. And it's true, you can, but it's going to take work. You have to kind of squint. You know, if you're looking at your phone, you can just barely make it out. You can't really see text very well. Not that you need to. The text you're looking at is going to be virtual. But that was the first thing I noticed. And then to the productivity point, the main way you're going to be productive with this thing, and I was worried from the get-go, because when they talk about what this thing can do, it's you can watch movies, you can play Fruit Ninja, and then they're like, you can mirror your Mac. Anyway, moving on. And like, wait a minute. Can you use this thing to actually get work done? Because that's, I feel like maybe the most important thing if you're selling essentially a MacBook Pro that you can strap to your eyes. I accidentally just opened up a menu by moving my hands a certain way. Let me go to the moon right now. There we go. I'm on the moon. I can't even see you anymore. While I'm describing that, by the way, there's this little toggle on top that can control how immersed you are. There's a lot of little things that I'm surprised about, because when you think Apple, what you think is it just works versus other devices that are hard to figure out. And I would say if you compare this to any other VR headset, by miles, it's ahead on that front. I tried to get my Quest and use it for work, like pull up a monitor virtually, and I gave up. I know Adam's done it. It's definitely doable. But with this, within minutes, I have it set up. So it can do it. It can mirror your Mac, and it's pretty damn cool. That was the first time I had my mind blown by this thing. Because I'll be honest, at first, I was having so many little annoying issues that I was like, what did I do? This thing, it was pretty disappointing because a lot of little annoying things, like I said. For example, I had my keyboard synced up with it, and somebody wrote me a text message. So I start writing back to them. And for some reason, the shift key became tied to dictation. So if I press shift, it pops up with a little window so I can talk and it'll dictate for me. The shift didn't do that before, but suddenly it just became that's what the shift button does. So I couldn't capitalize letters. I was trying to write a colon, and I was like, why do I keep seeing this little window pop up? And then finally I figured it out. Little things like that. This scroll wheel, to control how immersed you are. Sometimes it just doesn't respond. Like I'm scrolling it right now, nothing's happening. And then like 5-10 seconds later, suddenly the moon will pop up. But the first time where I was legitimately, wow, this is great, is when I mirrored my Mac. And so I had a virtual monitor and I made it the size of a movie theater and edited a video that way. Video editing is one of those things where personally, to me, it feels like the more screen real estate, the better. So you're sacrificing certain things. For example, when you look at the screen, the way this thing saves computing power, it can track exactly where your eyes are. So it only fully renders whatever you're looking at. So you'll look at one spot on the screen, that's clear, but out of your peripheral vision, the rest of it's kind of blurry, which in reality is how your eyes work. Your peripheral vision is blurry. The thing is, and this is one area where people downplayed it, they were like, you're going to notice it, but it's not a big deal. I'm not going to say it's a big deal, but the theme for me is that everything that was downplayed in the reviews, I would downplay them a bit further. To some extent, it feels like you have a blurry monitor in front of you and you have a tool you can use to just focus certain parts of the screen because it happens pretty fast, but not so fast you don't notice it. But editing video on a movie theater sized screen in my living room, it was kind of worth the trade-off. It was pretty great. And I did that for a few hours today. The other thing to note, though, on the downsides for productivity, you pull up the virtual display. And by the way, I see a bunch of stuff in the chat, but I really can't read it. Unless, hold on, let me connect. I'm going to pull up the virtual display. I probably shouldn't have done that. This might just break the stream right now.
Oh,
you still
God.
see me?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. So now I have like a 200, I have like an 80-inch display in front of me right now. And now I can see the chat. This is great.
So wait, where am I?
So you're in front of me right now versus you were over
Wait,
here
you
before.
could have streamed with your persona, right?
So I think you can, I don't know if they have a way to take your persona and feed it into StreamYard, for example. Like I'm sure somebody will develop a way to just turn it into a virtual webcam where anything that uses your webcam, you can just feed your persona into it. And by the way, I'll send you a picture of my persona later. It looks super weird and creepy, but I talked to our older brother. I wanted to keep it a surprise for you, but I FaceTimed our older brother the other day. And he said that after a couple minutes, you just sort of get used to it and it stops being weird. But he took a screenshot of it. It looks really creepy. And when you're FaceTiming, they don't show you a video of yourself. And I think it's on purpose because they don't want people to just see their own persona and be like, wait, that's what people are seeing right now? Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So the other note on productivity, when you have your virtual display, you can only do one. What are you laughing at?
It's just so funny seeing you like looking around as you're talking.
Do you see my eyes? You see, you don't see my. Well, I guess it only shows your eyes if there's somebody in the room to see them. So right now, it probably just thinks I'm alone, so it's not displaying them. But yesterday, I looked in the mirror and I was able to just barely make them out.
That's so weird.
You can only do one display. And a lot of the work I do really benefits from having two displays. So what I found myself doing yesterday is if I was doing a task where one display is fine, I'm like, all right, let me switch to Vision Pro mode. All right, let me take it off. I'm going to a 2-monitor task. And in some ways, you can do 2 monitors because you can have your Mac OS mirrored display, and then you can open up Vision apps. So for example, there's a native Vision app called, Safari. And so I figured, all right, I'll open up Google Sheets in this other window over here, and then I have my main display here. And you're supposed to be able to move your mouse to the edge of your Mac display, and then the mouse will continue into the app. So it essentially acts like a second monitor. It just wouldn't work. I couldn't find any way to make it happen. And then later, suddenly, it worked. It's just like the shift key all over again. Or sometimes when I'm looking at my Mac display, my scroll wheel will get inverted. Normally, I use where when you scroll up, it goes up, but it'll switch to natural scrolling where scrolling down goes up because it's like you're swiping down on a screen. Just little weird quirks like that. Eventually, I got it working so you can essentially have a second display as long as it's a native Vision OS app. But it just doesn't work as seamlessly as a true second display. For example, if I go over to Google Sheets, I have my keyboard. The usual keyboard shortcuts don't work in the Vision OS app. the way they do if you're using it on your actual computer. So for me right now, True Displays is basically a no-go. So that was the thing that, I mean, really, to be honest right now, if you have something where a bigger screen is helpful, this thing's pretty great. Not amazing, but pretty great. And I could definitely see the potential of it. And I think I will actually legitimately use it. The one thing I'm not sure of yet. So like I said, there were two things where I was hoping this was really going to help. One, it was just screen real estate for video editing. But the second thing is, you know, as a content creator, the other thing I spend a lot of my time on is writing. And a lot of times when I'm having a hard time writing, just changing locations will help just get through the writer's block and restart the mindset. One thing I've noticed is putting this on, I think does activate the part of my brain that thinks I've now moved to another location. Like if my office is a little messy, just turn up the dial. It's okay, I no longer see my office. Now I see a beautiful mountain and a lake. I haven't tried really writing with this yet though, just a little bit. So if I sit in this thing for 2 or 3 hours, will it A, give me the same feeling as going somewhere else? But more than that, will it just create an immersion where I don't get distracted? Because it is very easy to get distracted where I'm like, oh, let me check my stats. Let me, check my messages or whatever. See if I have any voicemails. When's the last time you checked your voicemail? So that's kind of the next test to see if I really get some value out of this.
So this is a really dumb use case, but it just got me thinking is like, it's nice to just read in interesting locations. Like, you could read at a coffee shop, you could read in nature. Like, I wonder what the experience would be like is like using VR to put myself in some cool place to read and then pulling up a book, like a huge book in front of me. Maybe actually you don't want a book to be that big, but like then the text is right in front of me. Well, then your eyes are moving too much as you're reading, right? But like the book is just held in front of me, like in the exact right spot that I want it to be. Mm-hmm. And I can just sit however I want and then like have this virtual cool location. It's just like pulling up a Netflix screen in front of me.
I just wanted to make you huge. So now you're like a movie theater.
That's so cool.
I have like a 150-inch display in front of me right now, where they're just like right above me. I mean, watching movies on this thing is really cool too. And you can watch in 3D. I watched Mad Max Fury Road for a few minutes in 3D, and it was awesome. You and our older brother, it's so funny. There's well, I don't want to say how many there are because that's kind of a secret, but you can kind of group us into pairs where like I'm a lot like Alun and then you're a lot like Oren, because that was the first thing he said too. He's like, I can read a book on the moon. But one problem with this right now is there is a lot of basic apps you'd expect to have on here that you don't. There's no Kindle app.
Is Apple Books on there?
I don't know. I searched Kindle.
No, it must be. It must be because there's an iPad app for it. iPad apps are all available on Vision Pro.
Right, as long as a developer hasn't gone in and said, "Don't make this available," because there are some that you can't get there.
Kindle must be on there. Maybe not. No. Amazon was Amazon Prime. They might have been like boycotting Vision Pro, like the other tech companies.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know Disney Plus is on here, and then I mean, you can watch Amazon, for example, because you can mirror your Mac display and watch it that way. HBO Max has a native app, and they have immersion mode where you can watch in a location. Right now, the only option is the throne room. So you can sit in the throne room from Game of Thrones and watch a movie.
That's pretty cool.
One little thing is I am somebody that will fidget a lot, and I want things to be just right. And like when I have my monitor up, I just spend all this time fidgeting with it to be like, is it in the exact right position? Is it centered? And there should be just a default office mode where it puts your monitor based on where you're sitting in a location that makes sense. Because that's one problem is I keep moving it closer, further away, and I just keep messing with it. And when I pull up multiple screens, it just starts to feel messy. I don't think that'll be a problem for most people, but I think that's one aspect where you and I are probably similar. And you're going to have the same issue where you're like, I don't know where to put this hologram. Any questions for me, Daniel, now that I got my hands on this alien tech?
When can I try it?
Yeah, whenever you want. When you want to come over.
Yeah, can we tell everybody where we're flying to next week?
I think you said it on the last stream anyway.
Okay. Yeah, we have a 16-hour flight to China soon. Gil, is the plan for you to use that the entire flight?
I don't know if I want to bring it. I'm a little nervous. I mean, this thing costs a lot of money, and
wait, but you have insurance and stuff. Like renter's insurance
sure, yeah.
even might cover it. I would
have
check.
Apple Care too. Also,
yeah,
this is funny. I was so self-conscious about it on two fronts. Like one, it's brand new technology that I just got within the first few days of release. So I was like, are people going to see it and be like, what is that? Can I see it? Or on the other hand, I was afraid people might judge me because so many people are saying, what kind of idiot would spend that much money to buy one of these? So I was, I don't know what I was expecting, but I walked out nervous from the Apple store. Like either there's going to be a parade where everyone's going to break out into a musical number to celebrate that Gil got the Vision Pro, or people were just going to be like, what's wrong with you, you idiot? Cyclops? Why would you buy that? Oh, yeah, you have a big screen? You're just going to fidget with it. You can't even figure out where to put your actual monitor. Now, you can see through the monitor like a hologram. Bravo. That's kind of what I was expecting. So I don't know if I want to bring this on the plane. We'll talk.
You have to bring it. You have to bring it.
I mean, it would be my plan is to work the entire trip. I mean, the entire flight with this thing. To work, I could be on the moon, on a plane, and I could write stuff.
Honestly, I'm thinking of just getting one now so I can use it on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
Can I get them, or are they like fully out of stock?
No, it's not like other Apple products. This one was not flying off the shelves. I ordered it Sunday and I got it Monday. The one annoying thing, I could use your advice here. Or are there any, what is it called? People who can prescribe glasses. Optometrist?
Yeah.
Sarah, are you an optometrist, or Rob? Is anybody a vision doctor? Because they make little lenses that go in here if you wear glasses. And you have to upload a copy of your prescription. Mine expired about a year ago. Warby Parker has an app where you can take a vision test at home. Doctor reviews it. A few hours later, they send you a digital prescription. I uploaded it, and Apple denied it because they said my age isn't written on the prescription. And I was like, can I just edit the PDF and just put my age, or is that medical fraud? I emailed Warby Parker. I was like, can you just add my age to this? They haven't gotten back to me. And there's a deadline. I have to upload the prescription soon. I don't want to leave my house. I've transcended the physical world. I live in here now. So unless there's a Vision OS app to give me an eye exam, I'm never getting these lenses. And maybe that's why the screens are all blurry.
Wait, so they're going to ship you the lenses?
They they take about 7 to 10 days to ship. They go through Zeiss.
That's so interesting. But can I get, well, I guess I don't have a prescription, but if you had a prescription, can you give it to them when you order the Vision Pro so it comes with the lenses?
No, because Apple doesn't make them. It's Zeiss. And they're not going to have them at the store. They ship separately.
Wait, it's so weird. I think we already talked about this. It is so funny that you still need glasses when wearing VR. Like, why can't it display it in a way where you can see it? That's just crazy.
I know. I mean, if we had an ophthalmologist in the chat, like I asked, then, we would have an answer to this.
Is there an optometrist in the building? Anybody?
All right, Daniel, anything else in the Vision Pro?
I mean, I'm really excited about it. It looks cool. I watched a video earlier today of Casey Neistat wearing it, and he just like was skateboarding through New York City and stuff with it on.